Right, guys, before we get into things, let's just welcome our new signings. Over there, we've got Kenny and Matthias. You guys can go do a lap while we talk Europa League now. Go hard, boys. Right, this is a bottle. Most famous for Man City and Barcelona in the Champions League. We are not going to bottle this 3-0 lead, okay? Hello everyone and welcome to episode number 115 of Husavik Heroes here on Shaun Does FM. I hope you are doing well, and coming up in today's episode we play the second leg of our first knockout round tie in the Europa League, taking a 3-0 lead into the home leg against Troyes, and we also have some new signings here at the club. So if you are looking forward to today's episode, then do remember to go down below, leave a thumbs up on the video, and if you haven't done so already and are enjoying the series here on the channel, please do consider hitting that subscribe button and turning that notification bell on as well. It is greatly appreciated. But here is what things do look like off the back of the first leg of this first knockout round in the Europa League. If you missed that as well, some sales that we did make prior to that first leg in yesterday's episode, I'll leave a link to it over in the top right corner. But first things first, now that we are in the domestic transfer window, we have added some new players to the squad here at Volsungur. Just 2 signings so far. We have got another one who's hopefully going to join us at the start of next week prior to the second knockout round, which hopefully, unless we bottle things like Manchester City did, obviously a little bit late on that joke, but I had to wait till we got to the second leg of this one for it to make a bit more sense. But nonetheless, we have already secured 2 new players here at Volsungur, and they will get in the mix when this current European season does finish. And the first of those is a player that we did try and sign right on deadline day last season when Alejandro Meza was underbid from Napoli. This time we had the money to pull this deal off, and I did feel like that was an area that even if we don't quite improve quality-wise in that position of the field, which I'd actually think we do with this transfer, I thought we could at least get rid of a foreign player spot here by bringing in Frenchman Kenny Boriel to be our future starting left back here at Volsungur. As I said, we nearly signed this guy to replace Alejandro Meza last season before Alejandro Meza took too long to decide whether he wanted to join Napoli for near £6 million on that deadline day. But we have bought him in from Bordeaux in France. You can see a very well-rounded left back, and hopefully he'll be a bit of an improve on Alejandro Meza as well as Andy Harwood come the start of the next European season. 3.5-star current ability and potential is actually a little bit more natural as a complete wing-back than a wing-back, so we'll just see how he gets on in that position domestically compared to the wing-back in between now and when we do start the next European cycle. But his value has already shot up compared to what we did pay for him to join the club. We spent £7.5 million on this guy, so that's a large proportion of our transfer budget, albeit we did have the addition yesterday of around £3.3 million for those sales of our midfielders. He's been good at Bordeaux so far in his career, and hopefully he can bring that form from Ligue d'Or here into the islands, dealing in Iceland, and into European football when he gets a crack at that come the start of the next European season. So Kenny Boriel comes here to be in the future. Hopefully after a deep Europa League run, he will be our starting left back come the start of the next European season. And we've got one more transfer to go alongside that one, and that is for a young Peruvian international striker in Matthias Aguirre. This was a player who came up when I was looking at 17 and 18-year-olds late last year, in that little gap that we did have prior to yesterday's episode of about 3 months. So I looked at some players who were wanted by some big clubs, and this was one of them. He only cost us £600,000, 3-star current ability, 4-star potential, even if the last star of that is a white one. He was wanted by clubs like Chelsea, Arsenal, Leicester. I thought it would be a good idea to go after this guy for that cheap price of £600,000. He doesn't look like anything special in terms of a striker, not too many green attributes there, but at 19 years old, a lot of potential, 7 caps for the national team at that age with 2 goals. And if you actually look at his attributes for the advanced forward role, if you add all the key ones up, he's actually technically better than Benjamin Rubio. So that is something interesting we might have to consider going into the next European season. But he's a young striker. Hopefully we can invest some time in him. He will grow and hopefully become a good option for us over the next few years. Very good start to his career at Sporting Cristal in Peru, which did earn him that call up to the national team where he has got some decent game time, and hopefully he can maybe become our starting striker come the start of the next European season. I say we spent £600,000 on him. It was actually only £500,000. So for a striker of that quality, that does look like a very good deal, even if he does take up one of our foreign spots. If he can rise to that 4-star potential, that will well and truly be worth that fee. So those are the two new signings that we have made so far. As I said, we've got a midfielder who will hopefully be joining us at the start of next week as well to help replace the players that we did sell in yesterday's episode, like Nicolosi, Caviglia, and Maurizio Goffi. But we are about to get into the second leg of this first knockout round tie in the Europa League, taking that 3-0 lead from the away leg into the second one against Troyes back here in Iceland. We have just played the one domestic game in between these episodes, and it was in the Íþróttafélagið we picked up an extremely comfortable 9-0 win in that competition. A 4-goal haul there to Fabio Mariano, with Nygaard, Traoré, Ramadan, and our new striker Aguirre coming off the bench to pick up goals as well. So that was a very, very convincing performance so far to start this season. We are looking in great touch. We're already on the verge of qualifying for the semi-finals, I think, for that Íþróttafélagið, considering our very, very good goal difference of 20 after only 3 games. But just like yesterday, we are coming into this Europa League game with a lot of confidence off the back of that Íþróttafélagið form. We are going to make a little bit of change for this second leg, just with the situation that we are in with that 3-goal buffer and some players with yellow cards hanging over them. Don't want anyone suspended for the second knockout round, which hopefully we'll make our way through to, unless we do pull a Man City, and then we can do the draw at the end of today's episode as well. But we'll come back shortly for that second leg with a 3-0 advantage against Troyes from the Laugardas Villa. And here are the team sheets for this one. We have made 2 changes in defence thanks to the yellow card situation. We have Ian Carlo starting at right back ahead of Matthews, and also Gaetano De Prisco starts over Tiago Polo. We could have started Ali Ramadan, but De Prisco has a little bit of a lighter match load at the moment, so I think he could use the game time a little bit more, and hopefully we can pull off a similar result here to yesterday and make our way through very comfortably to that second knockout round. And we've had to wait to the 18-minute mark for the first highlight of this game. Troyes today are in the pink. We are in our green Northern Lights uniform. Already quite a few yellow cards for both teams in this first half, so that's something we might monitor in the second half. Nicholas Zimmerman through on goal yet again, very similar to what he was doing in yesterday's episode, and we might have an opener here in the first highlight that we have seen. We'll just have to wait for an offside check yet again, and the goal has been awarded to Nicholas Zimmerman in a great vein of form in this new season so far. Frederick Larsson just holds the ball up there, plays a nice ball over the top. Not too sure if he actually was onside there. I'll just have to wait for the lines to be drawn on the pitch, but nonetheless Zimmerman tucks that away, and we are now 4-0 up over both legs. Couldn't quite see with that scoreboard up there, but he is just onside. 1-0 Volsungur, just shy of the 20-minute mark. And now up to the 25-minute mark. It was the goal scorer Nicholas Zimmerman briefly on the ball there, but a Troyes defender pumps it deep, albeit Husavik is there to tidy things up for us. We slow it down and look to build from the back here down this right-hand side, which has been changed for today's game because of that yellow card situation with Ian Carlo and Gaetano De Prisco coming in to the lineup, but not missing out on too much there in terms of ability in those positions. And we look to play out from the back still here. We get the ball forward to Kalen Rakasan, who's been good so far this European season. Yet again, a ball over the top there for Nicholas Zimmerman. He has given this Troyes defence absolute nightmares yet again. We are waiting on a VAR check for a goal potentially by Nicholas Zimmerman, and yet again the goal has been awarded. He must be really pushing that offside line in both of these goals, because it did look like a very close run thing there, despite the fact we can't quite see whether he is onside from that camera angle. But yet again, he slots that away, and after 26 minutes, we do already have a 2-0 advantage yet again. He's only just onside, but a well-timed run. 2-0 up with just over 20 minutes left of the first half. And up to the 41-minute mark for our next highlight. This time it is a throw-in for the French opposition. They play that ball in field and they see what they can do. We do have 3 players now on yellow cards that might force our hand into some early first half substitutions. Good chance there for Lumeka through a header just over the bar. Still 2-0 with only a few minutes left here in the first half of the second leg. And not too long off the back of that previous chance for Troyes, we are down the other end for a corner of our own, and Barcelo Gay will pick up his third goal of the season. He is proving very good for us in that DM role, playing pretty much as a third centre-back. That means we've got a lot of aerial threats from these set pieces. He gets his head on the end of that ball from Benjamin Rubio, and we are now 3-0 up, just shy of half-time. And that is half-time in the second leg of this first knockout round in the Europa League, and we are absolutely cruising here against Troyes. We have already matched what we did in yesterday's episode, away from home, 3-0 up on the day, 6-0 up on aggregate, playing very well like we were in yesterday's episode. I don't think Troyes so far have had a single shot on target across both legs. We are going to make a triple substitution here, though, at half-time, taking off those players on yellow cards. It will be Traore to come on for Larson. Arnason for Rakasan will give him a rest because he can get quite injury prone. He has been very good for us so far. And Fabio Mariano will come on for Zimmerman as well for these last 45 minutes, but we're already pretty much through with that 6-goal lead. And up to the 53-minute mark for our first highlight of the second half, an early yellow card here in the second half to Elias Anderson. So that's a little bit iffy having a centre-back on a yellow card. Hopefully he doesn't do too much more here in terms of that regard in the second half. There was a shot there for Troyes. We do block it, but they do still hold possession here and get something going. Down the right-hand side, Munier with a shot that comes off the underside of the crossbar, but Fuigu, I believe is how you might pronounce that name, probably absolutely butchered that. But nonetheless, they do get a goal back here early in the second half. Do Troyes, albeit it's probably only going to be a consolation goal. You would certainly hope so, being up by 6-1, but they finally break through. We're still 5 goals up here on aggregate. And 5 minutes off the back to that opener for Troyes, we do have a free kick down the other end. Can we re-establish our free goal advantage on the day? Free kick. Chaka Traore comes off the crossbar, just goes out for a goal kick. Decent chance. We still stay 3-1 up with just about a half hour left. And we are in injury time of this one. Not much injury time either, only the 1 minute, and that is full time. So a very uneventful second half there. Might be because of all those substitutions that we did make at half time, but over both legs, that was a very comprehensive victory, even if we did pick up a lot of yellow cards in this one. Hopefully it doesn't come back to bite us in the second knockout round, but very good performance over both legs, and we will go through 6-1 on aggregate. We'll come back shortly, check in on the other results from this knockout round, and also see who we can draw in the second round before we do see who we get in that draw. And we are back about to have a look at who we could get in the second knockout round of this Europa League in 2031. But before that, we're going to have a quick look at the other teams that did get through that first knockout round. Of course, we can't get one of these teams until we do make it to the quarterfinals. If we make it that far, but fine, or just get over the line there against Sporting of Portugal, Anderlecht quite comfortably defeating Zenit Dortmund, just get over the line against Sus Owolo Hertha Berlin by 3-1 over Monaco, and one of the more glamorous ties there in that first knockout round. Sevilla only drew the second leg there, but did enough yesterday to absolutely pump Shakhtar Donetsk, and the same does apply to Atletico Madrid. Despite losing the second leg 2-0, they go through after their 4-0 win. In yesterday's episode, we go through very comfortably over Troyes 6-1, and it is Nice going through over Aussie X 6-3 on aggregate. So those are the teams who are going to be on our side of the draw for this upcoming second knockout round draw, which we are about to take part in. But before then, we'll just give you guys a little bit of a refresh of who we could get in the second knockout round, because of course it will be against teams coming back in for their first game of 2031 in Europe, having sat out the first knockout round after topping their Europa League groups. So we'll go down here, have a look at all groups. Up top, one of the first options is Leicester City, being English. That's probably someone we would like to avoid, but making our way down a little bit further, the likes of Bologna, Union Berlin, Olympiacos are teams that we could also get drawn against. Olympiacos in particular would be a very nice draw, of course, after we did beat those guys in our Champions League playoff to make our way into the group stages of that competition. So that would just give us a little bit of comfort knowing that we've already beaten these guys not too long ago. That's probably the most useful draw that we could get, looking at the top half of things here in the Europa League. But Freiburg, Arsenal, that's one that we definitely want to avoid if we can. They look like the biggest team in the second knockout round who we can get. We've also got Valencia of Spain and Porto of Portugal. So definitely a few more big guns stepping in the second knockout round of the Europa League. As I said, ideal situation, probably Olympiacos. The one that we really want to avoid is Arsenal. No doubt they will have a pretty good team with all that Premier League money, and they absolutely boss their way to top spot in Group F, as you can see on screen at the moment. But we will go forward to the second knockout round and see exactly who we do get. First up is Anderlecht. They will get Valencia. Hopefully a lot of these good teams do go in the draw before we make our way down to our name. Next up, Atletico Madrid. If they get Arsenal, that would be absolutely brilliant, but they get Bologna, you would think. Atletico Madrid might be favoured in that one. Hertha Berlin are next out. They get Porto of Portugal. Next up is Nice. They will get Union Berlin. So Arsenal and Leicester still in the mix, although so are Olympiacos, and we are next out of the hat. And we get Arsenal, of course we do. That is going to be really tough at the start of next week. There goes our plans potentially of having a nice deep run in the Europa League like we had a few seasons ago. Of course, a few seasons ago, we got a nice little cushy run to the final. I think it is fair to say this time that is going to be a huge matchup in the second knockout round of the Europa League. And lo and behold, the next tie is Dortmund against Olympiacos. If only we got switched around there with Dortmund, we would be in a very nice situation, but this is going to be a tough one for us here at the start of next week, as we will take on Arsenal in the second knockout round of the Europa League. With a quick look at these guys, of course, a very high reputation club, currently 7th in the Premier League, so that's potentially a little bit lower than you would expect them to be, albeit they are still ahead of a team like Liverpool by 6 points, although behind the likes of Brighton, Leicester, Newcastle. So it's an interesting looking Premier League table. They are currently just in a European spot, but not doing all that well, so we might not be in without a chance against a team like Arsenal. But if we go and have a look at their team details, there is some very good players on their books. They've still got Martinelli, Smith Rowe, and at the back they've got the likes of Ben White, Tomiyasu, Kieran Tierney are all still at the back alongside Eder Militao. It is a pretty good Arsenal team still being managed by Mikel Arteta, and as I said, that's probably the toughest draw that we could have got there in that second knockout round of the Europa League. But if we can get past these guys, there should be absolutely no fears for the rest of that competition, because they do look like the biggest team left in it, and they have won the Europa League twice, including once in this save so far back in 2024. So this is a tough tie for us coming up at the start of next week. But as I said, if we can get past these guys, I think we might be able to go all the way potentially and win our first European title of this save. But that will do it for today's episode. A couple of new additions to the club transfer-wise, and also just rounding off that nice win there in the first knockout round against Troyes before getting drawn against Arsenal in the second knockout round to start off next week. If you did enjoy today's episode, then do remember to go down below, leave a thumbs up on the video, and if you haven't done so already and are enjoying this series here on the channel, also remember to hit that subscribe button and turn that notification bell on as well. As I said, starting next week, hopefully we'll have one more new signing before we do get into this tie against Arsenal, and we will show you guys both legs of that on Tuesday my time, Monday your time. It is going to be a very interesting one, and we'll see if we can continue our journey in the Europa League. If we can't, we're probably on for a slight decrease yet again on the coefficient table. But until then, thank you very much for watching. Keep on keeping on, and I'll see you then. Cheers.